In Jamaica, they call the wind that blows in from the centre of the island the undertaker's wind. It stirred my snowy hair and made me shiver despite the balminess of the violet evening. I stood in the hotel lobby, the door ajar. I was absolutely bloody furious. I'd been patronised, misled, and ignored. And what of Kingdom Come? Was it genuine respect that had made him try to warn me off back on the train? I'd saved his life in the clinic, but had his thanks been sincere? Or was he touched the way a dog owner is when his arthritic old pooch unexpectedly manages a long-forgotten trick? But then I remembered his fingers stroking my palm and the wonderful heat of him in that tiny, dark room. I walked to the front desk and asked for Kingdom's room. A sweating concierge told me that Mr. Come was on the second floor in room 209. I could go up and see him. There'd been something there beneath the boy's bravado. I was sure of it, and I could do with some affection. But I didn't go upstairs. Instead, I left the hotel and walked beneath the palms that lined the driveway. I was Lucifer Box, and I didn't need anyone. The blare of a car horn snapped me from my reverie, and I watched as a flotilla of limousines glided past on the main road, the flags on their bonnets fluttering. No doubt various dignitaries arriving for the World Government Summit. The cars drew up outside a huge, domed conference centre. They were busy people, in a hurry. Not yesterday's men. I cursed my self-pity and tried to pull myself together. Out on the promenade, I listened to the sound of the surf and the shuffle of my shoes on the cracked pavement, and then a harsh flapping sound made me look up. I was in front of what looked like some kind of concert hall, cream-painted and monumental. A huge banner hung from the facade. I squinted up to see the legend, "The Great New Scout Jamboree." Of course. The Jamboree. I'd only half listened back when I'd taken Christmas to that wretched scout camp. Was it possible? Not Kingston-on-Thames, but Kingston, Jamaica? Could my little boy be here? I walked up the wide marble steps to the glass doors of the concert hall. Within, a desk lamp was the only illumination. I tried the door. To my surprise, it opened, and I entered a high-ceilinged lobby. The silence was as deep as the carpet. "Hello?" No response. I padded towards the desk. A cigarette was burning in an ashtray, grey smoke idling towards the ceiling. A muffled flush explained the smoker's absence, and I turned towards the sound. A door opened, and a slender silhouette appeared. It stopped sharply at the sight of me. "Why?" came a woman's voice. "It's Mr. Box, isn't it?" The figure stepped into the light. It was Melissa Forethought. It felt like months since I'd met her at the camp. "My dear Miss Forethought, how lovely to see you again." She batted her eyelashes. "I was just, passing through, and I rather wondered how my son—" "Oh, you wish to see little Christmas? Alas, you can't visit him tonight. Early to bed, early to rise, and all that. But tomorrow—" She consulted the desk diary. "Shall we say, 2 o'clock? "Smashing. Well, good night, then. I do hope Christmas—" The words died on my lips. As Miss Forethought leaned over to write in the diary, the dim light of the desk lamp illuminated her slightly exposed bosom, and there, on her breast, was a tattoo of a small, black butterfly. Melissa Forethought narrowed her green eyes and glanced down at her chest. "Dear me," she said, "how careless." In one smooth movement she pulled a long-barreled pistol from her smock. There was a soft, swishing sound. I felt a sharp pain in the neck and knew nothing more. The globular light overhead was like an eyeball dangling from a nerve. Heavy leather straps bound me to a table at the ankles, across the chest, and over the neck. My hands were secured by tight leather cuffs. An insistent itch on my throat reminded me where the tranquilizer dart had hit home. How long had I been there? A metal door opened, and soft footsteps padded close by. And then, suddenly, a face loomed startlingly over mine, the lower half concealed by a surgical mask, the hair tucked away inside a white cap. Green eyes blazed down. "Are you quite comfortable, Mr. Box?" asked Melissa Forethought. "Not at all." "Glad to hear it. I must say I'm impressed. You are a game old thing." I beamed. "You're too kind." My exhausted mind was reeling from this new development. What the hell did Melissa Forethought have to do with the whole black butterfly setup? She sat down on a stool just by my head, and there was a soft sigh from the padded white seat. "Now then," she breathed, "it's rather important that you tell me what you know, or think you know, about what we're doing here. Of course, we have ways and means of extracting such information, but why don't we save ourselves a lot of unpleasantness? Just pucker up, Mr. Box, and whisper some sweet nothings in my ear." "That's just what I will whisper." "Nothing." She gave a little snigger and pulled her stool closer to the table. "I'm a specialist," she said quietly into my ear, "as I'm sure you were. Once." She wheeled her stool away, and I felt a sudden movement around my ankles. My shoes were unlaced and then, together with my socks, pulled off. Here it came. What the devil did she have planned for me? Bamboo rammed into the flesh under my toenails? The white-orange flame of a blowtorch? I tensed myself for the inevitable agony. Nothing. Then I twitched as I felt a sudden bizarre movement on my bare feet. It was a soft, swishing motion, back and forth over the arches and under the toes. The silly bitch was tickling me. Tickling me with a feather. "My travels have taken me to some interesting places, Mr. Box," said the girl. "I long ago discovered that pain and pleasure are but two sides of the same coin. You have no idea how much a man can give away when the core of his soul has been exposed." Soon I was laughing out loud, a delightful tingling running up and down my spine. This reminds me. Miss Forethought's head cocked to one side. Barber shops. Oh, I snorted. Electrical clippers. Such a pleasant sensation when the back of one's neck is buzzed over. Sweat was beading my face and dripping over my lips. I laughed convulsively from deep inside my chest, and the aged muscles in my sides started to twinge. And all at once I realized that I really, really wanted the pleasant sensation to stop. I began to arch my back, shrinking from Miss Forethought's tender ministrations, but the straps held me tight, and my whole body began to shudder. "Stop!" I croaked. Please, stop!" "Tell me then, quickly, why are you here? What do you know?" I gasped and sank my teeth into my lip at the terrible loveliness of it all. Soon, I knew, I would have to tell her everything, that MI6 were onto her organization, that even now a trap was being laid for her. My pulse throbbed in my temple, my head felt as though it would burst. Then, unexpectedly, the door shushed smoothly open. "Desist," said a quiet voice. Reluctantly, Melissa Forethought sat back on her stool. The relief was glorious, incredible. "You won't get anything out of Mr. Box." The voice was cold and measured as droplets from an icicle. "He's one of the old school." "What then?" snapped Forethought. "Shall I shoot him?"
"Oh, no, 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 nothing so vulgar. No, we shall be kind to Mr. Lucifer Box," whispered the voice. "It is time for him to be embraced by the wings of the black butterfly."
There was a faint tinkling sound from close by. Then Forethought was once more leaning over me. Savagely, she yanked open my mouth, dropped something inside, and a bitter taste spread over my tongue. Almost at once, my head began to swim. But as I blacked out, one thought began to race around my exhausted brain. I knew that voice. I knew that voice of old. It was Dr. Fetch. It was the voice of Acronym. There's a sound, incessant, pulsing, like a drum roll that doesn't stop. Eyes, open, a great panorama, a cinemascope of water, mirror blue, then brown, navy, and finally cornflower blue as it meets the sky. Eyes, close. I'm numb, Novocaine numb. There's a voice from somewhere. My voice. Wake up, wake up. Wake up. But it's all I can do to lie there. The pulsing sound beats on and on. Then there's another sound, a crashing, rolling roar, and I can move my head a little. There's sand in my mouth, rough, salty sand. Sunlight washes over me, and it's wonderful. The hairs on my arms rise up. Eyes open. By now the numbness is passing, and I sit up, and I'm dizzy, and the world seems too big, and I clamp shut my eyes again until the pulsing and the pounding dies down a little, just a little. And then I look at my hands, hold them out in front of me, and I realize they're not my hands. I flip them over and back a dozen times. They're smooth, pink, unblemished. They are my hands, but yesterday's hands. Now I use them to slowly, carefully unbutton my shirt, and they feel strange, as though they're frost-nipped, like when I threw snowballs as a child. Now my shirt is open, and I'm looking down at my chest. It's a fine chest, well muscled. There's a line of black hair like a trail of iron filings leading over the flat stomach to my groin. And now the pulsing, pounding roars in my head, and glee grips me, and I stand up and run my hands over my exposed torso and face. Everywhere my fingers meet firm lines, taut muscles, my cheekbones sharp as blades on ice. It's impossible. It's wonderful, and it can't be true. I run to the surf and splash my face in the blood-warm water. Mirror, 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 mirror. I have to find a mirror. I stumble back over the dunes, the breeze flapping at my open shirt, and I'm suddenly on a long ribbon of potholed road, and the tarmac is bubbling in the heat. My legs feel strong and lean and long. Then there's a honking sound, and I think it's a car, and I turn, and it's an open-top tourer, and the driver is an old lady. I smile. She looks like a pig in a wig, her cloud of white hair framed by a huge pink hat. She slows down as she approaches, and the breeze flaps at my open shirt and trousers. She pulls up just by me and drags her white oval sunglasses down the bridge of her snout. "Hi," she says, and she drawls it like a record slowing down. "Hello." The word sounds odd in my mouth. It's yesterday's voice, a young voice. "Heading for Kingston?" She pats the white seat next to her. "Hop in, honey. I could use the company." So I get in, and the car speeds away, and I close my eyes and revel in the glorious feeling of the wind streaming through my long, sleek, jet-black hair. No one has gazed on this particular face since King Bertie died, and now this kindly old dame has me all to herself. Eyes close. Eyes open, and suddenly we're in the city. She slows down the car, and I hop out and blow her a kiss. As she drives off, she looks awfully disappointed. The hotel's facade has taken on a peachy glow in the dying sun. It's beautiful. Everything is beautiful. I'm beautiful. Then there's a number in my head, 209, 209. I begin to climb the huge plane tree by the eastern wall of the hotel. With all my long-forgotten agility, I quickly scale the branches. Then I jump from the tree onto a striped awning and get a foothold on the first-floor balcony. From there I clamber up another floor until I'm standing, panting but exhilarated, outside the half-open windows of Kingdom Come's room. Muslin curtains flutter. The boy lies dozing on the bed, one arm tucked under his head. He's wearing a pair of shorts. That's all. Then my own clothes are on the floor, and the pulsing and the pounding is like a tidal wave in my head, and Miss Beveridge can go hang, and I'm Lucifer Box, and I'm alive again, and I fall upon him like a starving man upon a banquet. At last the boy opens one lazy eye and tickles his long fingers over my chest. "You're full of surprises, baby," I hear him say, though his voice sounds funny, like a bad connection on the telephone. "What happened to you? Good thing I love older men, huh?" I laugh. "What is there between us now? 5 years? 6? I sit up, stretch. "What now?" I say. "What shall we do now?" "Well, in case you've forgotten, lover, I have some bad men to track down." I wave that away and jump off the bed, throwing open the shutters and letting the orange blaze of the sunset wash over my flesh. No. We have to track them down. You and me must get on. Maybe we could go for a drive. Would you like that, Kingdom? Drive down to a casino and lose a pot of money? No, we have to get after Black Butterfly, don't we? Oh, I know something you don't know. The boy's face creases in a frown, and he looks deep into my eyes, and he says, "Oh, God, not you too." But I'm not listening, because visible through the parted shutters is a beautiful red Chevrolet Corvette convertible. It glitters in the light from the ocean. I want it so badly. I wanted the boy, and I got him. Now I must have the car. And then I'm throwing on my clothes and tearing downstairs with Kingdom rushing after me. Wait! Outside the night is warm and beautiful and alive with a chant of insects. Then Kingdom's hands are on me, but they are no longer a lover's hands. Now they try to pull me back, to constrain me. "Take these! You must take these, baby!" But I push him away. He comes back, so I punch him, and he goes down. Then I'm inside the car and trying to start it. Then there's a cloud of dust and scorched rubber, and I'm thundering onto the main road. I jab the heel of my hand against the horn, and the hot evening splits apart with the shrill blast. "Come on!" I yell. "Come on! Out of the blasted way!" And I'm grinning now, and my face aches with it, and the shrieking laughter that I can't keep down. Houses that are just corrugated roofs glitter in the neon wash. I zip past and try to overtake a fat Mercedes. Its horn screeches. In response, I catch a glimpse of the driver's bleached face, and he looks so scared that I laugh again and then swing the Chevy round towards him. There's a big crunch, and its loudness surprises me, but I like the sound, so I do it again. But then the Mercedes suddenly drops back, and I'm totally blindsided, and he hammers into the rear of me. I grapple with the dimpled steering wheel, but my hands are slick with sweat, and the Chevrolet leaps into the oncoming lane. There's a fresh chorus of enraged horns. It's a fanfare. I laugh again. Then there's a stomach-deep thump, and then a whiplash that makes me feel sick, and I'm flung violently to the right. And then there's nothing but a skidding swirl as the car spins off the road. Headlights and tail lights and neon signs and bar signs screw up into fireworks, and then the car crunches onto its side, and I feel heat as though an oven door has swung open, then sudden cool, and I know I've been thrown clear, and the light is strange and different, and I taste coarse sand in my mouth. I look round quickly. The Chevrolet is on its side next to a knot of palm trees, flames licking at its rear. I drag myself away just as the fire takes hold and the car explodes. I turn my face away from the fierce orange glow, and then I hear another car. It screams across the beach, and Kingdom Come gets out and runs over to me. Then his long fingers are on my mouth, and something bitter is dropped on my tongue, and he's forcing me to swallow. But I'm not interested in him, because I see something that doesn't make sense. In the hard, white sand is one of the Chevrolet's wing mirrors. It's cracked in two, but in the moonlight and the glow from the wreck, my own face is reflected back. And it's the face of an old man. I felt a bar of sunlight on my eyes and was suddenly awake. I took in the iron-framed bed, the white-walled room, the ridiculous pyjamas into which I'd been decanted. Kingdom Come, arms folded and quietly watching me, sat opposite. "Hey," he said. "How you feeling?" I rubbed a hand over my bristly chin. I felt ancient, fragile as a disinterred mummy. "Where am I?" I said at last. "Private hospital in Kingston." He got up and poured a glass of water. "You don't remember what happened?" I took the water and then noticed my own trembling hand, my delicate, veiny, age-spotted hand. I know you, don't I?" I said, smiling at the boy. He nodded. "And there was something about butterflies. I'm rather fond of butterflies." "It's okay, baby," soothed Kingdom. "Take it easy." He stroked back the hair from my forehead. "Thought I'd never catch you. I got the antidote to you just in time." He took a glass tube from his pocket and rattled it. "I liberated them from the clinic, remember?" "I remember a Chevrolet." I looked over at the boy, and the soft line of his neck and jaw brought back other, even sweeter sensations. "And I remember you." I winked at him. The boy laughed, then looked down, eyelashes beating a slow tattoo. I held up my hands before me. "It's such a shame I'm so old, my dear boy. You're a looker, and then some. My God, in my day—" I trailed off. Funny, but somehow it doesn't seem that long ago. Young, vital, so alive. Kingdom leaned forward and took my hand. "It wasn't so long ago, baby." The door clicked open to reveal a smiling man. He was dressed in an absurdly colourful shirt and colonial shorts. His milk-white knees were as knobbly as golf balls. "Hello, old love," said the newcomer, frowning. "How are you feeling?" "Fine," I said. I clamped shut my eyes. My addled mind felt as if it was awash with soup. "But I wish I could remember," I tutted, thumping the side of my head in frustration. "Why can't I remember?" Alan Playfair exchanged a worried look with Kingdom Come, and then patted the bedclothes. "Listen, old love, you mustn't think about all that. You've been in the wars, and according to Mr. Come here, you were ruddy lucky to escape unscathed. I think it's time we got you home." He opened his jacket and pulled out a rectangle of paper. "First class back to Blighty." He gave a signal, and two young men of about 18 stepped dutifully into the room. Blonde and fit, they were in some kind of uniform. Long khaki shorts and socks, broad-brimmed hats hanging on a string behind their backs. "Hello," I called gaily. "Who are you?" "This is Heathcote," said Playfair, slowly, as though addressing a child, "and this is Amory. They're part of Lord Battenberg's personal security team, but I don't suppose you remember any of that." Then all of a sudden, everything was clear. My faculties snapped back into place like an elastic band. "Oh, my God!" I yelled. "That's it! That's it!" Playfair frowned. "That's what?" I stared at the newcomers. "They're his bodyguard, Battenberg's bodyguard." Playfair nodded. "Part of it. Sends just the right message, don't you think? 20 strapping young men from different nations. What could be better? I say, old love, you're sounding more like your old self." My mind was clearing all the time. The new scout movement. "Melissa, forethought!" I shouted. They're the front for Acronym. Playfair chuckled. "Now, steady on, old love." "Playfair," I said patiently, "Alan, my son is here in Jamaica, attending the new scout movement's great jamboree. After I left you in the hotel, I went down to try and see him. While I was there, I met a woman I'd last seen at a new scout camp back in England. Surely no surprise there. She had a tattoo, Playfair, on her breast, a black butterfly. I was knocked out." "I'm not surprised," chuckled Playfair. I glared at him. "Then I was tortured, and then there was a voice. The voice of Dr. Fetch. The whole new scout movement is a cover for Acronym. They're back." "Acronym?" scoffed Playfair, shaking his head. "Nobody's heard from them in 40-odd years. Get a ruddy grip, old love. Sooner we send you back home, the better." "Why would I make this up?" I said. "Look," said Playfair, "I understand. I really do. You can't bear the idea of packing it all in. And then somebody fed you that bloody awful narcotic, and you've got things all upside down." "Yes," I cried, "someone did feed me the drug. Acronym." Playfair shot a pleading look at Kingdom Come, who just shrugged helplessly. "In your mind," he continued, "you've dreamt up this story, bringing back the great nemesis from your heyday." "It's all true, damn you!" I glared up at the bland, imperturbable faces of the scouts. "And what's more, they know it." "Now that's enough," barked Playfair. He turned to Heathcote and Amory. "Escort Mr. Box to the airport, would you, boys?" He tossed over the airline ticket. "He has a plane to catch. One way."